Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Endgame Gear EMC Endgame Gear's new pour-on mousepad. And it's been a while since I've made a mousepad review because honestly, as I've said many times before, mousepad market is a bit boring to me, and this is a pad that is going to come down and be pretty similar to the Artisan Zero LGG Saturn, just in that area where it's a really good high quality balanced control pad that's going to be suitable for every game. I'm just going to say it. Like, people are always like, what's the best mouse pad for X game? Something like this, a Zero, a Saturn, it's just going to work in every game. Like, there's no way that this pad is going to be too fast for you. There is a sense of not high initial friction, but it's definitely like you have to be intentional to get your mouse movement going. I think it's good for like stability and just straight flicks, but compared to the Zero, in my opinion, in both types of friction, the EMC is just going to be a bit slower. It's by no means a muddy pad. I haven't noticed it being affected by humidity, but it just does not have the same lightness that a Zero has to it, and it is a thinner pad. So one thing that's going to change the way this feels is the amount of pressure you're putting, and obviously the weight of your mouse. If you're using something, say 70 grams or above, the EMC is going to have like another gear of control. But if you're using something lighter and not putting as much pressure, it will have a very light, just balanced feeling glide. But if you do want to gain some control, you're mainly going to get that by putting in pressure, because the base only being 3 millimeters, there's just not like a ton of room for the mouse to sink into the surface. But if you just add pressure, it will slow the feeling, obviously. But yeah, I would say in terms of quality, like, you genuinely cannot complain about the EMC. Like, a lot of pads are getting to the point where the stitching and the base are pretty much on the same level as Artisan, and yeah, it's just hard to say anything bad about the quality of this. It is $50 before shipping in the US. I saw some people in EU saying it's a great price, but it comes out to about the same as a XL Artisan or a Saturn Pro after shipping and tax in the US. So really, it's just a fucking toss-up. It's like, what kind of minor differences in the control pad are you going to be looking for? I'm not going to lie, as a mousepad reviewer, like, you can just get adjusted to anything. Like, the minor differences between these pads are not going to make or break your gaming skill. If you've already used a high quality control pad, the EMC is not going to be something that just blows your mind. If you did find pads like the Zero and Saturn a bit too fast, then maybe the EMC is more in line with like your speed preferences, but for all intents and purposes, it's a very fucking similar pad, and I liked it a lot. Like, I just can't complain about it. It's my type of pad. It felt good in all of the games and aim training scenarios that I used it in. One thing to note is that it is going to be a lot faster with like dot skates or four corner style skates compared to skates that have a lot of surface area. Even the Viper Mini Signature was extremely controlled. I don't know if that's just because of the stock skates Razer uses, but most other mice had higher friction levels than the Viper Mini Signature. Just would not be my first recommendations with glass skates. It is a bit too dense feeling of a control pad to really be viable with them. But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend many control pads with glass skates. So at the end of the day, if this is the pad that makes the most sense for you to get, I would say go for it. It is definitely a top tier control pad. Nobody can really argue about that. Checks literally every box, is going to perform well across the board. But if you already have something like a Zero or a Saturn Pro, or those are just like easier pads to get, probably go for that. Like, there's nothing about this that makes it uniquely better than the competition, which has always been a problem of mine with mouse pads. But this one, I've just enjoyed using. I'm not gonna lie, I could totally main something like this. Will I? Probably not. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for the Endgame Gear EMC. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to ask those below. Though I do feel like I probably covered a good bit of it. I would say, in terms of like the surface, it falls somewhere between the Zero and the Saturn, where it's not as smooth and like textureless as the Saturn, but it's definitely not abrasive, and you're not going to be massively feeling the texture on your mouse skates. It's not as rough as the OG Zero. I don't know like if I went over that already, but yeah, that's about all I have to say for the Endgame Gear EMC. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That's all. Peace.